And welcome back to Forks, Knives, and Spoons. I'm your host, JJ.
And I'm Mia. 'Tis the season. JJ and I decided to go to Whitney House in downtown Worthington, Ohio.
Before we get to the review, a word about the rating system where forks are good, knives are bad, and the golden spoon is exceptional.
Yes, and as we take a look at this location down here in downtown Worthington, Ohio, you'll definitely see we always start with parking because you have to find somewhere to put your car. Parking was very, very much a convenience to us because there was parking in the front and parking in the rear, with the door located right in front so you can walk into this beautiful location.
Now, as you walk into the Whitney House, which seems to be a very old building, you're met with exposed brick, nicely lit with large windows facing the main street and lots of wood. There's a dark exposed ceiling. About 20 tables are in there so they can get a nice crowd, and had a really nice feel to it.
And then as you go to the back, you will be entering the Whitney Tavern, where you have the two-seater cozy booth as well as the full bar. Beautiful location. I say it's a definite must-see.
So it sounds like a fork on the location.
Sounds like a fork to me. Now off to the cocktails. I had the Whitney Mary. It was a spicy little number with their smoky Bloody Mary mixed with some pepper-infused OYO vodka, which is an Ohio-made vodka. It's absolutely delicious, if I must say so myself. On that Bloody Mary, I will definitely give it a fork.
Now for my cocktail, I had something called a Morning Joe on the Rocks. It had French press coffee, OYO honey vanilla, watershed nocino, Aztec bitters, and Fernet spritz. If you like cold espresso or cold coffee, I think it's pretty much up your alley. It had a chocolatey taste for me, and not my cup of tea, but if you're into that kind of thing, I think it's pretty decent. I'll give it a fork though. Now let's move on to our first course. We did order a cinnamon roll. Now they build this as one of their specialties. A giant cinnamon roll with some icing, but it didn't seem like it had really enough icing for as much bread as you got in that cinnamon roll.
No, not really at all. And to me, I didn't really find the flavors kind of meshed for me. I make my own and they are definitely to die for. Even though it was suggested by the server, it gets a knife.
Now we also ordered a French onion soup following that cinnamon roll, and it wasn't too salty as I recall you commenting, Mia.
Yes, that French soup was absolutely crafted perfectly. Now most French soups are usually a little bit more on the saltier side due to the fact that they do have a lot of cheese in them, and a lot of chefs kind of top them off with a little sprinkle of some garlic salt on top. But this one did not have that. It had the caramelized cheese on top as well as the crouton in the middle, and the flavor of the broth, onion broth, was amazingly crafted. Wonderful, wonderful flavor profile in that soup.
So is this a fork or a golden spoon on that?
This is definitely one of the only golden spoons I think I'll ever give to a French onion soup.
There we go, golden spoon on the onion soup. Now let's move on to the entrees. I started out with a braised short rib hash. Now this was pretty basic: golden potatoes, roasted potatoes and onions, sliced Brussels sprouts, smoked Ohio bacon, and then there's that sunny side up egg. Now I have to say, I've had better. Something about the flavor in the seasoning, and I've got a comparison for this. We did a piece on Milestone 229 where I got their short rib braised hash, and I have to tell you, it was pretty good. And because of that comparison, I can't give this a fork, even though I gave a 229 a fork. So it looks like it's another knife on this braised short rib hash.
Oh my. Myself, I had the grilled shrimp and farro bowl, which is another healthier option for myself. It had blackened jumbo shrimp, a sunny side up egg, which I had prepared over medium, thank you very much, roasted broccolini, shiitake mushrooms, sliced red onions, and pickled red pepper relish. It was wonderful. Not golden spoon, but definitely a fork.
And now let's move on to the price with the check for our visit at the Whitney House. It came up to a total of $58.05. Now that was minus the short rib hash. We'll tell you a little bit about that later in service. But for what we got, it could have potentially been just short of $70, and then you have to add in the tip. Was it worth it?
I think it was. In this day and age, the food and the quality were absolutely delicious. I think, however, it was slightly a bit higher than I'd like, but you have to look at your location for one, and you also have to look at the quality of food.
It was fresh, prepared nicely, presented nicely, but when it comes to taste, not really my cup of tea.
No, but then again, you do have peculiar taste buds.
So that's it on the check. Let's move on to service. There were some miscues. I had to order additional icing for that cinnamon roll.
Yes, and that icing came very, very late. It was almost to the point that it was an afterthought. Like, why even bring it?
It wasn't even worth it. And back to the short rib hash.
Yes, there was no short ribs in his short rib hash. How did that happen?
How?
From being in the service industry, I do believe that what happened is that someone served him someone's dish that was prepared for a vegetarian, because there's no way that that dish could have been prepared for you with short ribs and not have the short ribs in the short rib hash.
Number of miscues on that. How do you think we rate the service? I say knife.
Yeah.
And that wraps it up for the Whitney House. Please stay tuned to Forks, Knives, and Spoons. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button. We sure would like to hear your comments as well.
And please, please, please leave a comment below and let us know what you think of our review on the Whitney House. And if you have any ideas on places you'd like us to go and review, leave those too. This is Mia with Forks, Knives, and Spoons.
And JJ, have a good day.